My name is Emma, and I used to believe that the greatest joy a mother could experience was seeing her children happy and settled. I poured every ounce of my being into raising my daughter Emily. She was my world, my light, and I cherished every moment with her. When she met Mark, a charming but somewhat aloof young man, I was cautiously optimistic. He seemed to make her happy, and that was, ultimately, all that mattered to me. Little did I know, this happiness would come at an astronomical price, one that would force me to confront the darkest aspects of human entitlement and my own capacity for strength. Emily and Mark's wedding was a beautiful affair, a day filled with dreams and promises. I watched them exchange vows, a bittersweet ache in my chest. The joy of her new beginning mingled with the quiet realization that my little girl was truly grown. I had always been a modest woman, living comfortably in a quaint two-bedroom home that held decades of memories. It wasn't grand, but it was mine, filled with the scent of old books and freshly baked bread, a sanctuary I had carefully cultivated over the years. Life settled into a comfortable rhythm after the wedding, or so I thought. Emily and Mark were renting a small apartment, and initially they seemed content. But as months turned into a year, subtle hints began to surface. Emily would call, sighing dramatically about the lack of space, the noisy neighbors, the impossibility of starting a family in such cramped quarters. Mark, ever the pragmatist, would chime in during family dinners, talking about the skyrocketing housing market and how impossible it was for young couples to get a foot on the ladder these days. Their eyes, I noticed, would often drift towards me, then back to each other, a silent, expectant communication passing between them. At first, I brushed it off. I'm a mother, I thought. It's natural for them to vent. But the hints grew bolder, more direct. Mom, we've been looking at houses. Emily said one Sunday, her voice laced with a hopeful urgency. The prices are just insane. We'll never be able to afford anything on our own. Mark nodded gravely beside her, adding, "It's a shame, really. If only we had a little help, a leg up. Like if someone had some equity they weren't really using." He let the sentence hang in the air, thick with unspoken expectation. My heart sank. They weren't just venting. They were asking. No, they were expecting. My modest home, my hard-earned savings, my entire financial security suddenly felt like a target. I loved Emily more than words could say, but this was different. This wasn't about a small loan or a helping hand. This felt like an implicit demand for my entire future. I tried to deflect, to explain my own financial constraints, the importance of my retirement fund. But their faces would fall, and I'd be met with a wall of disappointment, sometimes even a subtle accusation of being unsupportive. The pressure intensified. Every conversation revolved around houses. They'd send me listings, grand, sprawling homes far beyond their means, with comments like, "Wouldn't this be perfect for us, Mom?" Or, "Imagine the grandkids growing up here." They painted a picture of a blissful future, a picture I was clearly meant to finance. The guilt began to gnaw at me. Was I being selfish? Was it my duty as a mother to ensure their comfort, even at the expense of my own? Emily, my sweet daughter, started playing the emotional card. "All my friends' parents help them out, Mom. Don't you want to see us happy?" Her voice would break, and I, a soft-hearted mother, would feel my resolve crumble. After months of this relentless emotional bombardment, I made the decision that would change everything. I would sell my house. My beloved home, the one where I had rocked Emily to sleep, hosted countless birthday parties, and found solace after my husband passed away. It was a painful, gut-wrenching decision. Each box I packed felt like I was sealing away a piece of my past, a part of myself. The familiar scent of wood and dust, the way the morning light streamed through the kitchen window, I memorized every detail, knowing I was sacrificing it all for my daughter's supposed happiness. My real estate agent, a kind woman named Brenda, tried to dissuade me. "Sarah, are you sure about this? This is a big step. Where will you go?" I told her I'd find a small apartment, something manageable. I just wanted to help Emily and Mark. Brenda looked at me with a mix of pity and concern, but she respected my decision. The sale went through quickly, and with the proceeds, combined with a significant portion of my savings, I had enough to make a substantial down payment on a new home for them. Finding the right house was another ordeal. Emily and Mark had an endless list of demands: 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a large yard, an open concept kitchen, a specific school district, and it had to be move-in ready. I spent weeks, then months, tirelessly touring properties, sending them photos, navigating their fickle preferences. They rarely came with me, citing busy schedules. "You know what we like, Mom," Emily would say airily. "Just pick something good." I felt like a personal shopper, a glorified real estate agent, all on my own dime. Finally, I found it. A beautiful, spacious house in a lovely neighborhood, exactly what they had described. It was more expensive than I'd initially planned, but I stretched my budget, even dipping into my emergency fund. I remember standing in the empty living room, the scent of fresh paint and new carpet filling the air, a sense of weary accomplishment washing over me. This was it. This was the house that would make them happy. I closed on the house, putting it solely in my name, as my lawyer advised. I had initially considered a joint deed, but he strongly recommended against it, citing the significant financial contribution I was making. "It's your investment, Sarah," he'd said. "Protect yourself." I listened, thinking it was a formality, never imagining how crucial that advice would become. I decided to surprise them. I wanted to present them with the keys, a grand gesture of my love and sacrifice. I planned a small house reveal party, inviting a few close family members and friends. Emily and Mark arrived, their faces a mixture of curiosity and thinly veiled impatience. "So, where is it, Mom?" Mark asked, barely containing his excitement. I led them to the address, a wide smile on my face, my heart thumping with anticipation. This was the moment. This was where all my sacrifices would pay off, where I would see the pure joy on my daughter's face. As we pulled up to the curb, their eyes widened. "Oh my God, Mom," Emily gasped, covering her mouth. "It's beautiful. It's everything we wanted." Mark's jaw dropped. They practically ran to the front door, pushing past me in their eagerness. I watched them explore, their exclamations of delight echoing through the spacious rooms. My heart swelled. This was worth it, I thought. This was all worth it. We gathered in the living room, champagne flutes in hand. I held up the keys, my voice thick with emotion. "This, my dears, is for you. A new beginning, a place for your family to grow." Emily rushed to hug me, tears in her eyes. Mark clapped me on the back, a rare display of genuine warmth. I felt a wave of relief wash over me, believing that finally, after all the struggle, we were all on the same page. Then came the words that shattered my world. Mark, still beaming, turned to me, a casual, almost dismissive tone in his voice. "So, Mom, when are you bringing your stuff over? We need to get your things moved into your room before we start bringing our furniture in." The air left my lungs. My smile froze. "My stuff?" I repeated, my voice barely a whisper. "My room?" Emily, sensing my confusion, chimed in. "Yeah, Mom, the small bedroom downstairs, near the laundry room. It's perfect for you. You can have your own little space." She gestured vaguely towards a corner of the house, a room I had mentally earmarked as a guest room or a home office. The realization hit me like a physical blow. They hadn't considered this our house, a shared space where I would live comfortably. They hadn't even considered it my house, bought for them to live in. No, in their minds, I had bought their house and was merely being granted the privilege of a tiny, relegated corner, a glorified maid's quarters for my trouble. My sacrifice, my pain, my entire financial future, it had all been reduced to a demand for my stuff in my room in a house that was unequivocally mine. The blood drained from my face. The champagne tasted like ash. I looked at Emily, my own daughter, her face still alight with joy, oblivious to the knife she had just plunged into my heart. She genuinely expected me to be grateful for a servant's quarters in the home I had bought. Mark, ever the entitled one, simply stood there, a smirk playing on his lips, as if this had been the plan all along. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a brazen, calculated act of disrespect and entitlement. A cold, hard knot formed in my stomach. The initial shock gave way to a searing anger, unlike anything I had ever felt. It wasn't just about the house. It was about the years of subtle manipulation, the casual disregard for my feelings, the audacious assumption that my love was a bottomless well from which they could draw without ever replenishing. I took a deep breath, forcing a semblance of calm onto my face. "Oh," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "My stuff. Right. Well, we'll talk about that later, won't we?" I managed a tight smile, excusing myself to the powder room, where I splashed cold water on my face, staring at my reflection. The woman staring back was heartbroken, yes, but also, for the first time in a long time, utterly furious. The party continued around me, a blur of joyous chatter that grated on my nerves. Emily and Mark were already planning their decor, discussing furniture arrangements, completely unaware that their castle was about to come crashing down. I spent the rest of the evening in a daze, nodding, smiling, but inside, a storm was brewing. I watched them, truly watched them, and saw not the loving daughter and son-in-law I had imagined, but two greedy, manipulative individuals who had taken advantage of my love and generosity. The pain was immense, but so was the clarity. The next morning, I wasted no time. I called Brenda, my real estate agent, and then my lawyer. "I need to understand my rights," I told him, my voice firm, about the house I just purchased. He confirmed what I already knew. The deed was solely in my name. It was my property. "What are my options?" I asked. He laid them out, and a grim determination settled over me. This was going to hurt, but it was necessary. I didn't confront Emily and Mark immediately. I let them bask in their imagined victory. They started moving some of their smaller belongings into the house, making plans for furniture deliveries. Emily called me daily, excitedly detailing their decorating schemes, completely oblivious to the silent war I was waging. Each call was a fresh stab, but it also fueled my resolve. I needed to do this for myself, to reclaim my dignity. 1 week after the house reveal, I drove to the property, a legal document clutched in my hand. They were there, Emily and Mark, laughing as they tried to maneuver a large armchair through the front door. The sight of them, so carefree and entitled in my house, ignited a spark of righteous anger. I walked up to them, my face devoid of emotion. "Emily, Mark," I said, my voice cutting through their cheerful banter, "we need to talk." They looked at me, surprised by my sudden appearance and serious tone. "What's up, Mom?" Mark asked, a hint of annoyance in his voice. "We're kind of busy here." I held out the document. "This," I stated, my voice steady, "is an eviction notice. You have 30 days to vacate my property." The color drained from Emily's face. Mark stared at the paper, then at me, then back at the paper, as if it were written in an alien language. "What?" he bellowed, his voice rising. "What is this, Sarah? Are you serious?" "Perfectly serious," I replied, my gaze unwavering. "This house, Mark, is mine. I bought it, with my money. The deed is in my name. You have no legal right to be here." Emily burst into tears. "Mom, how could you? You bought this for us. You promised." "I bought this house," I corrected her, my voice steel. "I never said I bought it for you. I intended it to be a shared home, a place where we could all live comfortably, where I could be close to my daughter and eventually my grandchildren. But your casual assumption that I would simply disappear into a glorified servant's room after sacrificing everything I had showed me your true intentions. You didn't want a mother, you wanted a benefactor. You didn't want a home, you wanted a free ride. Mark's face was purple with rage. This is outrageous! We'll sue you! We'll fight this! I met his furious gaze with a calm, almost serene expression. You can certainly try, Mark. My lawyer has already reviewed everything. You have no legal standing. You've brought nothing but a few boxes into this house. There's no lease, no agreement, nothing to suggest you have any claim whatsoever. You are squatters, and you will be treated as such if you don't comply. The argument escalated, a cacophony of accusations, tears, and threats. Emily sobbed uncontrollably, alternating between pleading with me and railing against my supposed cruelty. Mark became increasingly aggressive, his words venomous. But I stood my ground, a rock against their storm. The pain of seeing my daughter so distraught was immense, a sharp, twisting agony in my chest. But beneath it, a new feeling had taken root: self-preservation. I had to protect myself, my future, and my dignity. The next few weeks were a living hell. Emily and Mark refused to leave, convinced I would relent. They called other family members, spinning a narrative of my sudden, inexplicable malice. Some believed them, and I received angry calls from aunts and uncles condemning my actions. Others, who knew the full extent of my sacrifices, stood by me, offering quiet support. I stayed strong, refusing to engage in their emotional blackmail. My lawyer handled all communication, sending official reminders and reiterating the consequences of noncompliance. As the 30-day deadline loomed, their defiance began to crack. The reality of legal action, of being forcibly removed, started to sink in. They frantically searched for a new place, their options limited by their poor financial decisions and Mark's general arrogance. On the morning of the 30th day, I arrived at the house with a moving crew, a locksmith, and a sheriff's deputy, just in case. Emily and Mark were still there, packing the last of their things, their faces etched with defeat and resentment. There were no more shouts, no more tears, just a heavy, suffocating silence. As they loaded their final boxes into a rented truck, Emily paused, her eyes red and swollen, and looked at me. "I hate you, Mom," she whispered, her voice raw with pain and fury. "I truly hate you." The words pierced me deeper than any physical wound. My own daughter saying she hated me? I felt a profound sense of loss, a gaping wound where our relationship used to be. But even then, I knew I had made the right choice. My love for her had been exploited, twisted into a weapon against me. I had to draw a line, not just for my financial security, but for my soul. They drove away, leaving behind an empty house and a shattered family dynamic. I walked through the quiet rooms, the echoes of their accusations still lingering. The house, once a symbol of hope and sacrifice, now felt heavy with the weight of betrayal. But as I stood there, alone, a different emotion slowly began to emerge, a quiet sense of triumph. I had reclaimed what was mine. I had stood up for myself. I had survived. In the months that followed, I slowly transformed the house. I repainted the walls in colors I loved, filled it with my own furniture, and created a space that was truly mine, a sanctuary of peace and independence. I enrolled in art classes, started a garden, and reconnected with old friends. I learned to cook new recipes, to read in quiet contemplation, to simply be without the constant pressure of someone else's expectations. My relationship with Emily remained fractured. We spoke occasionally, but the warmth, the intimacy was gone. She eventually found another apartment with Mark, their lives significantly scaled back. I heard through the grapevine that Mark's reputation had taken a hit, his grand plans and promises having spectacularly backfired. Emily, I hoped, might one day reflect on her own role in our estrangement, but I knew I couldn't wait for that. My healing had to come from within. This house, my house, became a testament to my resilience. It wasn't just bricks and mortar. It was a monument to self-worth, a reminder that even the deepest love should not come at the cost of one's dignity. I had lost a daughter, in a way, but I had found myself. And sometimes, in the quiet moments, when the sun streams through my kitchen window and the scent of freshly baked bread fills the air, I realize that this quiet peace, this hard-won independence, is a far greater treasure than any imagined family happiness built on entitlement and emotional manipulation. This house, truly, is mine, and I have never felt more at home.